Good space time, y'all. Welcome to the third season of Citizen Cosmos. We kick off the season with Samuel Westrich and Ivan Shumkov from Tenderdash, aka Dashevo. Together, we discuss traveling, cultural challenges, threshold cryptography, SDKs, Merkle trees, and grandmothers. The engineers explained the connection and the differences between Dash and Cosmos, and the current options available for any devs out there looking to break some systems.
We used to send 2 or 3 Bitcoin when we wanted to pay each other at lunch.
So you can graphically verify on the light client that the old data actually that's what exactly stored in the state.
One of the magic or superpowers of the developer gets when he starts to work with Tendermint and Cosmos is Cosmos SDK.
Here's even better. You buy a sex toy for your girlfriend, right?
There we go. That's my kind of story.
To have IBC, the two, Tendermint and Tenderdash, have to understand each other.
The whole idea of decentralization really fits to my anarchist mind.
Before we rock it off into our next episode, here are some news from our sponsors, Cyber. The Cyber Congress DAO is working on an upgrade for the Bostrom network to a stable version of CosmWasm. After the upgrade, the DAO is planning to activate a drop and wants to give a huge shout out to all of the Terra devs out there looking to a new home to Biddle. Hey everybody, welcome to Citizen Cosmos. New episode, and we have 2 guests today. The CEO of Dash Core Group and one of the principal developers of Dash Core Group. It's Ivan and Samuel. Guys, this was a very brief intro from my side, but I will ask you to introduce yourselves. First of all, welcome to the show. This is going to be an unusual episode, I hope.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Ivan?
Awesome. Thanks.
So I'm Samuel Westrich. I'm the CTO at Dash Core Group. I've been involved in cryptocurrency since, 2012. I think I made one of the first transactions in China. It was a long, long time ago in a very different time. Bitcoin was at $2. We used to send 2 or 3 Bitcoin when we wanted to pay each other at lunch. So one person would pay and then everybody else would send them 2, 3 Bitcoin. It was a different time, right? And then I got involved with Dash. At the time, it was actually called Darkcoin in 2015. I wrote the iOS wallet. Then I became the head of the mobile team. And then last year, I became CTO. We've been working for quite some time on Dash platform that Ivan will probably introduce a little bit later. And inside of Dash platform, for our consensus engine, we took Tendermint, forked it, and made some modifications proper to Dash. And this is probably what your listeners will be the most interested in.
Well, they're interested in you, first of all, guys. Come on. But yeah, that's as well. Ivan, what about you?
Excellent. So I am about 18 years in software development. Mostly was involved in the high load and distributed system development. Since 2018, I joined Dash and this nice guy who we're talking together today. And my task was to develop the platform and drive component of it. After some time, I was involved in the protocol design and architecture as well. And yeah, it was a pretty cool journey during these 4 years.
Samuel, you said you did one of the first transactions in China. Come on, man. Let's hear the story. This is like, wow, OG stories, man. Come on.
Yeah, I could do tons, actually. At the time, my boss made a local Bitcoins announcement, and he was a little bit nervous. So I was the patsy who went to actually sell the Bitcoins to people. This was a long time ago. And it wasn't that much. It was sometimes $50 worth. But that was 25 Bitcoins back then. And it was very interesting. I remember some people, I don't know what happened to them, but they had thousands of Bitcoins just because let me invest $1,000, right? Or $2,000. It was very interesting. And there was new people. If you knew about Bitcoin, it was 1 out of, 10,000 people back then knew about Bitcoin. It was very small in the development community. Only tech people really knew about it. Maybe 1 or 2 finance people. It was a very different time. I've lived through the journey. I would say that right now we could say that we're kind of in a bear market. And I've lived through so many. I remember the first one. Now, this one I always remember because the first one that I lived through, we went from like $2 to $264. And then many people don't know this, but so I'm going to like tell something that back then the only exchange really was Mt. Gox. And Mt. Gox was running, I believe, on PHP, and it was extremely slow. It did not handle volume that well. And it was also very prone to DDoS attacks. So what happened was all of a sudden it started crashing, but you could actually time where the bottom was based off of the lack of the amount of transactions needed to be processed. So I made a little bit of a calculation, right? Based off of lag, based off of amount of transactions, because most transactions were just market sell transactions. And it lasted about an hour, I think, to drop from $266, I think, on Mt. Gox to, I think it was 108 or 111. And sadly, I had miscalculated and I put like a massive buy order at 207. $1 too low. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then it went from 107 to 208. And then it went from 208 down, and then it stabilized and went to $50 and $100. And it was like crazy volatility. Nobody really knew what was going on. A lot of the early people who had bought it for like $1 or $2 or a few cents were selling off. And yeah, that was an interesting OG story. If you're interested.
Man, this is before I ask Ivan how you got into crypto. I just want to say, like, this is the difference between developers and non-developers. You see, you measured like the volatility with the lag in the buy and sell orders. I was measuring it with Silk Road, but that's not the story for the public. Oh shit, we're in public, right? Oh well, we did. I remember like we were mining in 2011. We had this mining operation, and it was small, but we were actually in Tel Aviv. And I remember we were selling Bitcoins for about 260, 218. We were really happy that somebody was buying that stuff. I was like, oh my God, who the hell is buying that crap for 280? Like we can buy beers now with it, right? Look at that. Ivan, how did you get into crypto, man?
Oh, before 2018, I hold some assets and I didn't do any development. And I did like different type of stuff. Then you have the cluster of services and you have clients and an absolute different paradigm and model. And how it was like friend of mine just say, hey, do you want to work in Dash? I say, well, sure, why not? And I had maybe like 2 hours interview with Sam and other guys. They, okay, man, see you tomorrow. This is your Slack account.
Sorry to interrupt you, but you're not like terrified to start working, well, technically for one of the biggest back then and still is one of the biggest projects. I mean, somebody come up to you and says, hey, let's work for Apple. You're like, oh, for Apple? I mean, even if I'm a good developer, I'd be like, whoa, I'm a bit scared to work for Apple, but you know what I mean? Were you not scared?
No, it's all. It's at that point in time, I was looking for something new, and even in the blockchain technology was like pretty interesting for me at this point. So it was kind of much, I would say. This.
I'd like to add to that. One thing about Ivan is that he's a very confident person. So he just like charges ahead in new tasks. So
that's a great, I think, quality to have, right, for a developer, because usually developers, well, in my experience at least, are a bit like slow to be on the uptake. But when they are, they're super concentrated and like determined to do. So I think it's rare to have those both qualities. It's really cool that you do. I do have a question for Sam while we're still on the chit chat part. Like Quantum Explorer, can you tell me what? I'm sorry, I don't know what this is all about, but the Quantum Explorer nickname, man, come on, I need to hear the story.
Oh, yeah, it's very simple, though. In the early days, we did not know if China was going to kick people out because they were in crypto. So I had to stay anonymous. So all the way up till, what was it, like around 2017, 2018, I was anonymous. I made very careful, I did everything without revealing my identity. And that's why I chose a nickname. I chose Quantum Explorer. Why did I chose that? I'm very much into physics, so that's about it.
Well, it's a good story.
One more OG story. Yeah.
Guys, another question I've noticed, like while looking at your profiles, you both like travelers a lot, and like I saw from both of you, I'm not gonna say who's who, but I saw Vietnam, Israel, China, US, all those countries, Russia. I hate that word digital nomad, but is that what you would label yourself, or is that just something that part of your lifestyle, or how does it work?
Well, I'll start. Okay. For me, I wouldn't really label myself so much a digital nomad, more of a expat, just because I did an internship right after university for University of Southern California in the United States. And before that, I had done my studies in France. And I was looking for something new. So that's why I moved to China. I wanted just new experiences in life. And then I stayed there for quite some time, and after that was looking for something new. So I moved to Thailand. I do travel around a lot. I use Thailand more as a base, and then am, moving around quite a lot.
Before I move to Ivan, though, I do want to ask a question about, like, if you did mention Thailand, out of curiosity, considering now like the Web3 lifestyle allows people to move more and more, how would you recommend Thailand to crypto people to go and start their lives, businesses, whatever?
Stay out. It's only for me.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Ivan, what about you?
Unfortunately, so many my friends are coming to Bangkok. Mostly Russians. So
Those Russians.
Those Russians. Yeah, so my journey began in 2015. Then I moved for work to Vietnam. I worked like 14 years, I think, or something like this, in St. Petersburg, in a company what we found with the guy. And I honestly got tired. And what Sam said, like looking for something new, that's exactly the case. And the tropical country and new culture and the interesting technology challenges, that's what I was looking for. And that's probably was the turning point, and I so enjoyed that. So after that, how you call it, like digital nomad, so I traveled like crazy, changing locations I don't know, like every month or 2 months. And I wouldn't say I'm doing the same now, and I just getting older and tired of this. And now it's more like, I would say, just finding the more appropriate, more comfortable place at this point in time.
I can totally relate, guys. I totally understand what you both say. That's why I did ask, because that's what I've been doing for about 20 years. So, moving on though to a little bit more professional. So, help me and everybody who's the listener out. Dash Evolution, Dash Core, Tender Cash. Let's make some like sense and order for myself and for people who are a little bit do hear about you, do know that Dash is a huge project out there, but help us out a little bit.
Sure. I'll start a little bit with the overview, and then Ivan, you can go into more detail about Dash platform. Does that sound good?
Great.
Okay, so Dash has a payment chain, and this has been the main chain on mainnet, and we've been on mainnet 2014, 2015. I forget exactly the actual Genesis block I really should know that though. I'd say 2014. So we've had a payment chain. It's a fork of Bitcoin. It allows for some extra features. We're 50% invulnerable based off of a technology that we call chain locks. We have instance end payments, which are also using something called instance unlocks. And these two technologies are based off our masternode network, creating threshold signatures, saying that these transactions or blocks can no longer be either double signed or replaced by another block in the chain. So those technologies exist. Your viewers are probably more interested in Dash Platform, which is a secondary chain that we've been developing since 2000. Well, actually,
It's a hard question.
for a while, but let's say that actual development most likely started in 2018, around the time that Ivan joined. Before that, there were many ideas on how we were going to build Dash Evolution, but most of those have been scrapped. So Dash Platform, what is it? It's a chain based off of Tendermint Consensus that we've modified into Tenderdash. What is this modification? Well, basically, Tendermint uses nodes that have different powers on the system. In Dash, all of our master nodes are collateralized with 1,000 Dash. And the fact that they're all at equal power allows us to do something very cool, which is threshold cryptography. Actually, in the Tendermint white paper, some people might remember reading about SBFT, which is scalable Byzantine fault tolerance. And this uses, well, threshold cryptography, and it allows for having just one signature to prove the state, either the state or a block or anything. And this can lead to a lot of, I would say, new use cases, new abilities. Well, you can maybe do with Tendermint, but not as efficiently. So that's kind of why we built it. Now, I want to start by saying one thing, though. Tendermint is an amazing project, and I really, really like it. And I really appreciate the hard work that developers have done in the Tendermint project. And when I talk about the cool stuff we're doing in Tenderdash, it's just a different approach. It's not better, it's just different because we don't have the ability for nodes to have different powers, but we do have the ability to recover threshold signatures that can be very useful for some projects. So right now, also, Tenderdash has not really been released as a standalone module, just like you can use Tendermint. And later in this year, we are going to package it properly, make a website for it, probably even rename it. We're not sure yet. And explain to people that might be interested why they would maybe want to use Tenderdash instead of Tendermint, what sometimes the benefits would be. I think that most projects out there would probably prefer using Tendermint still, like 90%, but you could see some projects out in the space that would really, based off of their use cases, probably prefer using Tenderdash. So why don't we go in very quickly, Ivan, and you can explain what Dash platform is.
Sure. I think we need to explain first like what evolution is and how the history of these products end up. So basically the evolution for Dash was the release epoch or era, which contains several releases and several products. And the main goal is to provide the social wallet, which even like your grandma can send you money using your name instead of cryptographic addresses. And that was the main goal why all these things started. And guys came up with the idea that actually we don't need to do specific modifications on chain just only for this wallet, but we could make it as a platform so anyone can build decentralized applications and store additional metadata on chain. That's, I would say, how it began. And right now, I think the concept's still the same, even during these years. So Dash platform is the decentralized stack for development of the Web3 applications. So you'll have the storage to store your information, your application state on the chain in an efficient way, and be able to verify cryptographically on the light clients efficiently using like even mobile clients. And the goal of the platform, basically the same as in Dash, is to provide the similar experience what web developers already having. So if you use Google Firebase and this like convenient and simple SDK, you can do the same with Dash platform and operate this as common database, what you got used to MySQL or MongoDB. Of course, it has some limitations and slightly different, but idea is still the same. So you don't need to learn Solidity or other smart contract languages just to store, like, I don't know, the posts and comments in your application. You can just use the data contracts is the concept which differentiate the platform from other solutions what we have right now in the industry. When developer just using JSON define the structure of the applications, basically like you define the structure of database in MySQL, and then can do like perform the queries using secondary indices like in normal databases, unique indices and stuff like that. And of course, on top of it, they will be able to use some additional computation on chain, like using smart contracts and how we call it data triggers. When you're storing the documents using data contract, you can attach additional business logic to validate. Yeah, it's like my son having fun, it seems. So yeah, it's not like it's kind of simple, but if you want to go deep and do complex things in complex logic, you can do it as well. And also, the platform accept data contract will provide other services like decentralized domain name service. We call it DPNS, and identities. The goal is to provide everything what developer needs, like CDN, authentication, and stuff like that, tokens.
It's even targeted not only for developers in the long run. Maybe developers will build on top of platform to create easy services for end users. For example, right now, somebody who wants to use blockchain, that maybe they just own a restaurant, but they have no idea how to do it. In Dash platform, it becomes a lot easier to, let's say there's a contract for food delivery, or this is an example that I like, and it's based off of the way Dash platform works. It makes it very, very easy for people to use. In many blockchains out there, to request data from the state, you have to use centralized services, correct? And in Dash platform, every one of our nodes responds in linear time to any request based off of, and that's actually probably our biggest technological achievement. I probably should get into this just a little bit. Yeah, we used something called hierarchical authenticated data structures, and this is basically Merkle trees on top of Merkle trees, and each of the Merkle trees is actually a rotating Merkleized AVL tree. If anybody in tech is listening and gets that, congratulations.
I don't straight away. So wait. What's a rotating Merkle tree? Wait a minute. I'm good with Merkle trees. Let's get into it. Let's get in deeper. We're good. We can do that, man. Come on.
Back when we were trying to figure out like how we store state, we're looking at various projects. And Tendermint, I think, uses IVL trees, right?
AVL Plus, yeah.
Oh, AVL Plus. Yeah. They're Merkleized rotating trees, right?
Yeah. Self-balancing.
Yeah, self-balancing. When I say rotating, it basically just means self-balancing. There was another project out there called Merkle, which is different from the solution that Tendermint uses, I believe, because nodes can also be deleted. Is that correct, Ivan?
Yeah, and also they tried to solve the I/O problems what the Tendermint guys faced, mostly like SDK guys faced. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It had something to do with the fact that you would need to rewrite things on disk, I believe. That memory is from 2019, so I'm a little bit like, there were some problems with IVL trees, and that's why we didn't use it. So we were kind of going in this direction of using Merkle. But in our system, what we really cared about was secondary indexes. And none of these trees actually really supported secondary indexes. So in order to provide that feature, well, we did a lot of time for research. And after quite some time, we found this paper on hierarchical authenticated data structures by a very smart guy. I think he currently works at Google.
He must be smart. If he works at Google, he must be smart.
No. I really feel bad because I don't remember his name right now.
But he works at Google, so that's good.
We had an exchange a while back, and I'd let him know that his ideas were great. We didn't use everything in his paper. We kind of are doing things a different way. But still, there's a strong academic base for the reason why we're doing things in the way we're doing. It allows for a much smaller proof size and a lot of other important things. So basically, what does this mean? It means that you can prove anything in the state with a series of Merkleized trees and then the state signature for the tree. So I think it's very cool. So you can ask a platform things like, in the restaurant example that I was giving earlier, you could ask things like, oh, I'm hungry for pizza. Give me pizza restaurants in Bangkok. I mean, you can query platform for that request, and it will give you back all the pizza restaurants in Bangkok. What's cool about this is it not only just gives them back to you, it proves to you that it's giving you back all the pizza restaurants in Bangkok, that it can't do any omissions. Omissions is a very big problem in UTXO-based blockchains, right? So that's kind of what we've been building.
The most important that is support ranges. That's the most probably complex part. Then you can say, give me all restaurants from Bangkok, which works since 5 to 7 p.m., for example. And you will get proof for this as well, like efficient proof without actual data, but with all the connection nodes. So you can cryptographically verify on the light client that the old data actually that's what exactly stored in the state. And I think, Sam, we should also mention that since we're using the threshold signatures recovered using the long-living masternode quorums, is a feature of the payment blockchain, which is used by the chain locks and instant send, what Sam already mentioned. So on the Light client, since we already can verify the signatures made by quorum, we don't need to download all headers, get the headers from platform chain to verify. We're just getting back data, the Merkle proofs, the Merkle root, and the signature of the quorum of this Merkle root. So that's it.
Which makes it much lighter, I assume, right?
And it's much efficient. And so basically on the client side, you're getting the proofs and everything what you need to get this data in one request. And you don't need the additional synchronization with the chain. So that's a difference with the original Tendermint Lite client.
I do have a bunch of questions, so they might be a little bit random because I'm trying to put them all together in the space of an hour. So sorry if they go a little bit all over, but I'll try to stick to more of the technical questions. So first question, which is like I said, going to be a bit silly. I apologize for this in advance. In let's say the greater Cosmos ecosystem, which by the way, the podcast isn't just about that. We do talk about the interchain in general. So we go out as well. We go to Ethereum projects as well. In general, we do like to find out, of course, that you guys work with Tendermint. Anyway, so silly question. One of the magic or superpowers of the developer gets when he starts to work with Tendermint and Cosmos is Cosmos SDK, which allows all the developers, you have all these modules, you can launch a chain basically with your own IMMs already ready, with anything basically, right? Do you have anything similar like that in Tenderdash, or is there something like that that allows developers to easy? For example, there's a reason I'm asking. You'll probably know about Terra, right? And well, hard not to know about Terra, even if you were involved in it, right? And a lot of those projects are now looking for new houses. Some are moving to the existing chains already on Cosmos. Some are building their own chains. But some might be interested after hearing this podcast, if they do, to maybe go and build on top of what you guys are doing. So is there something like that for developers that allows them to quickly build blocks, modules, or use Cosmos SDK in that matter?
Yeah, sure. So we have 3 SDKs actually available. We have one in JavaScript, we have one for iOS, and we have one for Android in Java. I guess the Android one can do a little bit more. They interact both with our platform chain and with our payment chain. Now, I would say this, though, we do not currently, for release, have support for smart contracts. So what we're focused on for our release is 2 things, and the release will be I don't want to actually say a date, but
I'll say this.
it's going to be this year. It's going to be this year. So the SDKs basically allow you to store your data contract and allow you to register a data contract, allow you to interact with the system, verify any information that you put in the system in platform. And for many projects, that's really good enough. You don't really need smart contracts. I would say for 80% of applications, you probably do need smart contracts. But there's a lot of use cases when you just do not actually need them. Ivan, a while back, basically said like how we got into building what we're building, right? To building platform. And it all started with a use case where we wanted to create a Venmo type experience. I don't know if your listeners understand Venmo. Basically, we wanted a payment experience that did not rely on addresses, that relied on identities, but with the caveat that when you sent between identities, only you and the identity that you were sending to, or the other person that you were sending to, actually knew about the transaction. So that was our main use case. And we built DashPay, which is the first app that we're releasing with Platform. And we built Platform for DashPay originally. And that's why we didn't focus on smart contracts and instead focus on the queryability of data. So in the blockchain space, I would say many projects have focused on smart contracts. We kind of went, a little bit on the other way.
The Cosmos Hub doesn't have smart contracts and built into the hub.
Yeah. You're right. I was just saying that there are many projects that have smart contracts. I don't think it's all smart for every project to all try to do the same thing, right? We need to, as larger crypto community, all focus on, area of expertise and then build together and use each other's projects in open source to hopefully advance mankind as best we can. This is getting a little philosophical.
Oh, good. I love it. I don't know if you guys ever did sorry to get in there. Ever probably not, because it's a bit far from what the podcast from what you do, but a lot of it we do talk to CEOs, CDOs mostly, and most of the conversations always go into values, and a lot of those things, like how people did get into it, why they're building it. So it's great that you're going that way. I love hearing the motivation behind builders' ideas. This is not just why your project exists, but why did you do it? I mean, you woke up one day and thought, hell, I'm going to go build in Venom on blockchain, right? It doesn't happen like that, right? There's something that usually motivates, like you said, solving a solution problem of existing problem. Sorry to cut in there. Ivan, do you want to add, or Sam, do you want to still finish the thought?
Well, yeah, I did want to just say, because some people might be interested in DashPay and what it is, I'll quickly just say what's different in DashPay compared to many other solutions that it seems like you can pay between people. Most of those are register an address on the chain.
Like ENS, right?
Yeah. So when you send money to your grandmother or you send money, it's all traceable.
That grandmother. Sorry.
That's our persona of our product.
Sorry, Sam.
Here's even better. You buy a sex toy for your girlfriend, right?
There we go. That's my kind of story. I love that. I hope my girlfriend is not listening to this podcast. I really hope she's not. But hey, let's go.
So yeah, you don't want everybody to know that you've made that purchase, right? So yes, you can do it just with addresses like UTXO addresses. The point of DashPay was that there's a separation between your identity that is used to create connections between you and other identities. You create this kind of virtual tunnel that allows for payments between the two identities based off of address spaces.
So it's like a VPN kind of thing.
Well, no, I mean, it's more an abstract entity. There's not an actual live wire connection. Instead, you give them information to send payments to you, and they give you information to send payments to them. And only when a payment happens, only you know that it's to you. Nobody else can know this, and only they know that, they sent you a payment. So if you were to lose your phone or anything, or lose anything, everything is recoverable through the mnemonic. There's a derivation from your seed that basically can restore all the data that you've ever had of the blockchain. And it's not actually stored that much on the blockchain. It's more stored in information derived from your mnemonic. It's a very cool system. And that's what I was working on mostly before I became CTO.
Is that the reason why Dash is classified sometimes as an anonymous system from what you explained, or not?
No. So back in 2015, I talked about that we have masternodes. The first use case that we ever made for the masternodes was CoinJoin. So ability to mix your coins through the masternode network. We still have that feature, and that's why we're sometimes classified as, what is it? Anonymity enhanced. Yes.
Guys, you can use Dash to pay on Pornhub. That's the main thing I know, right? That is the main thing I know. That's it. I don't care about anything else. It works. No, I'm joking. Ivan, sorry, you were going to add there.
Yeah, the great achievement of that, just summarizing that there is no connection between the public data and your payments. That's the main goal. And Sam and guys do a good job on this. I just want to add just really briefly for people who is using Cosmos SDK and be interesting on trying Tenderdash. They have the same use cases. We are not using Cosmos SDK for building the platform chain for some, I would say, some legacy reasons. But basically, Tendermint is a consensus library. And Tenderdash I think like 90% or more keep the same API, or even almost the external API. So I think they will be able to use Cosmos SDK with Tenderdash as well in the same way.
Sam is like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Guys, this is not a problem in the sound. This is the developers thinking, wait a minute, whoever cannot see the picture now.
Well, here's the thing. We're releasing this year to release our the platform chain, right? And then right after that, we're going to be focusing on the various projects that we've built to do that, including Tenderdash. If you can use Cosmos SDK with Tenderdash right now, I don't believe so. Mostly because there are multiple modifications, and it would take not long, but it would take a few days to support them in Cosmos SDK, I bet.
I just want to say, guys, so if any developers are listening to this and we have like a small disagreement here, maybe somebody can prove that they have used it and then, do a PR somewhere and then we'll see a real use case. Hey. Guys, one question in continuing to what you said before. You were talking about application-specific blockchains, what we kind of in Cosmos called it that. You were mentioning blockchains that have specific use cases. So I did look at your roadmap, obviously, but I'm going to ask the question, when IBC, sir?
Yeah. So to do IBC, we have to actually do something else first. So I would say the biggest change between Tendermint and Tenderdash is the reason why IBC doesn't work natively. And that's because, well, one uses a threshold signature mechanism using BLS signatures, and the other uses EDDSA signatures. There are also variants that you can use. The main one is EDDSA signatures, but it's not a threshold system. Actually, I do believe that they are working on that, but it's not threshold signatures. I think it's more aggregatable signatures.
Aggregation, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the problem really is that to have IBC, the two Tendermint and Tenderdash have to understand each other. Now, Tenderdash can understand Tendermint, but Tendermint can't understand Tenderdash yet. So we have to basically do a pull request to Tendermint to allow for IBC for Tenderdash, right? And that hasn't been done yet, and we will get around to it.
I understand that the answer to the question I'm going to ask might not be technically correct as it didn't happen. Will it be like through a direct relay, or will it have to be some kind of...
No, direct relay. I mean, the chains will communicate just as all IBC does, like between Tendermint. The only difference is, well, the way signature verification happens just is not supported in Tendermint for Tenderdash, right? One also negative of Tenderdash that I might come clean on is that it was built, we have deadlines, we ripped out some stuff from Tendermint and replaced it with the stuff we needed, right? If we had done things, I would say, perfectly, we would not have ripped out everything. We would have tried to make sure that all use cases are covered. And because we ripped out stuff, there is some need maybe to repair some of the stuff we ripped out a little bit more so it can more easily understand Tendermint. Basically, exactly for IBC.
I have another question. Masternodes and obviously POS validators, all that world, and I really like that. I mean, we are a validator. We have infrastructure to validate different networks, and we've seen, I think, in the last like 2-3 years, more and more. I like to call it ecosystem developers. People who are involved in building those blockchains, not just developing, but also, which is of course important, which is the most important thing. But we see more and more people join, and masternodes is still the same kind of thing. So if any validators out there who are interested in becoming a masternode or validating the network that is going to be launched, or if they already can do it in a testnet, is there anything you can say or add here? What they should go look, which documentation, what, who, why?
Sure. I mean, we have many guides on how to become a masternode in Dash. We have right now on mainnet the payment chain, right? And platform is going to be released coupled with version 19 of our core payment chain. At that point, we're going to provide two things: an installer that will install both platform and core services on a VPS node, or you can also do it manually if you prefer. It depends. If people want to become a masternode while waiting for platform to start. But yeah, there are many, many guides on how to do that currently. Now, if they are more interested in joining testnet, just to see how the validation works and to test out platform, to test out Tenderdash, to gather logs just to see about, to check the efficiency of the system, well, that's something else. And, they can do that currently. We have an installer called Dashmate, and, there are guides for installing testnet nodes as well.
Regarding the nodes, I think that Sam covered everything. I think we just need to provide some links to the people for documentation, and they have a pretty active community on Discord. They actually have two communities, right? The one is more like investors, and second is development community. It calls Dash Incubator. It's another DAO based on the Dash, and they doing a lot of work around the ecosystem of the Dash platform, helping us to test out the things, and they will be glad to help new people to join testing. And also developers, they have a pretty cool bounty program. So, and there are many things to do. So we also welcoming developers as well who want to try a platform and gain some money.
This is really cool because there is a huge developer community around Cosmos. I believe, I'm not gonna quote this on me, please don't, but I believe it is the second currently biggest Ethereum. I'm not sure 100%. I'm not gonna quote that, but people do say that. So I believe there are a lot of developers looking for new places to go, and if there is a bounty program, it does help a lot. And of course, maybe it's not the biggest, doesn't matter what it is by size, right? But if there is new places to go, I think it's really cool to see more and more developers joining from different places and finally developing this internet of blockchain, in my opinion, rather than standalone silos.
I would add one thing very quickly. Right now, we are going to release a version which is going to be kind of our release candidate for mainnet release, right? At that point, we are doing a big bounty program to try to break our system.
Let's break it.
Let's break it. So if there are any devs out there that are listening right now, I would imagine, it's times are not so easy to figure out, right? But let's say 2-3 months from now, sometime around then, when this starts, I call on all of you, come and try to smash.
I have a terrible joke to make, guys. If Do Kwon is listening to this, the founder of Terra, man, you got to break it. So come on. He's good at breaking stuff. No, I'm sorry, Do Kwon, but
since I need to work harder now.
I think that this is a complete side clause, though, but I think it was pretty obvious that algorithmic stablecoins don't work.
Of course. But you know how it is in crypto, right? You wake up one day and you're like, might as well work, try it out, So it's crypto, right? And someone is going to write down, no, guys, no, not algorithmic stablecoins. I agree with you, man. Seriously, I do understand. I understand.
One regret that I have from my really early days is I read the Ethereum white paper and I said, this will never work. And I'd never invested.
I have a chance to say a word to the Cosmos developer community. It's one of the best wishes. That's why I'm so looking forward to have IBC and provide the light client for Tenderdash as well to other networks, is to provide this database, data contract approach in concept to test for the people. And since IBC allow us to do some cross-chain contract calls, I see the pretty interesting combination when you can use smart contracts on one chain to do some computation in consensus and store the state and read the state directly in the application without calling smart contract using IBC in Dash platform. So I think it will be very interesting to combine the available technologies for providing better stack for developers. So that's my dream.
And I think there is a lot of I don't know if you guys played with Wasm, but there is a lot of other as well languages now being. There's Agoric, Wasm. There is, I forget the names, but there is several people who, and Wasm is working, and it's interesting to see all these combinations. I would really love to see that. Guys, I do have one final question, which is going to be non-technical. But I mean, Ivan, you said you've been developing software for about 175 years, and Samuel, you've been like, an OG since the very, very beginning. So the question to both of you, and this is a kind of traditional question, what on earth keep you so motivated in your daily lives to wake up every day and to say, hell, I'm going to go build whatever it is, whether it's, Tenderdash or whether it's fix the IBC, like do IPR to make IBC work or whatever it is. What keeps you in your daily life, guys, motivated to do your work and to keep on building Web3, I guess?
I can answer. In my life, I did have a personal event that lasted for like 2 years where I stopped working and I was very, very sick. And after that, you think kind of about what you bring to the world. I would say before that, all I cared about was having fun, living day to day, having a good time. Work was more to get money, I would say, to continue having fun. But after that, you really start to think about, okay, well, when I am gone, did my life matter at all? And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, because I think it will matter what we're currently working on.
That's an awesome answer, man. I think it's fantastic. This is what everybody should be saying, right? Like that you have a reason to do it.
And there's doubt. I think it's healthy to have doubt. You can't always be sure that what you're working on will actually matter. But when I think about other things that I'd like to work on, well, it's this. The other stuff that I'd like to do is all not in my field. So maybe go back into school, learn biology, try to cure some diseases, stuff like that. And that would take 10 years of studies. So maybe I could contribute more to society with the current knowledge that I've been gaining for the last 20 years.
Thank you for that. It's a really cool answer, man. I think that's what we're all here for now.
Yeah, Ivan, what about you?
This is a build-up, Ivan. You have to do good now.
Yeah. Honestly, it looks like I'm more selfish comparing with Sam, and actually, that's how I'm having fun. And for me, there is no difference in like personal life or like everything is mixed. And my coworkers are my friends, where we like hanging out together and constantly meeting. Coding for me is like meditation and the way how I calm down, and just freeze and throw out all the thoughts from my head. I would say the working on the product, what I truly believe, that's the main thing. And especially if you invest so many time in this project, you really want to see it alive, and that product never ends, right? It depresses. And right now, I just thinking what I would do something else, and I cannot find anything like tech wise or culture wise or even philosophy wise. I mean, because the whole idea of decentralization really fits to my anarchist mind, So it's just perfect match, and just enjoying like every day of working. And I wouldn't say it's working, it's just every day of living.
I think it's a fantastic combination that you have there, guys. Like between what Sam said and between what you say, and Ivan, it sounds like it's a really cool match. Like it completes each other. Guys, it's been a huge pleasure having you on. Thank you for clarifying the differences, really, because a lot of the people, when they hear about like Tenderdash, they get confused and they're like, "Oh, what is that?" Blah blah blah. But it's been around for some time now, and thank you for finally like for us to clarifying those things and to see the differences. And it's great to see that it's making a lot of progress. So thank you so much for coming on, guys.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.